So let me tell you a secret about this. Whenever good table topic speakers go on the stage, they're not doing impromptu speaking. They remove the impromptu part of it as much as possible.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am really excited to bring you a podcast of 4 episodes. And in this podcast, my primary focus would be to focus on the communication skills and public speaking and try to find answers to those particular questions which are very common among people who are struggling to find their niche in public speaking. So this podcast is titled Finding Answers with Vidita. Today I have my first guest on this panel who is a software engineer by profession, an avid Toastmaster, is also a district winner for table topics contest in our district, and I'm happy to say he is an incoming president of my club. Let's welcome Toastmaster Pratham as our first guest in this podcast. Hello Pratham, happy to have you.
Vidita. I'm so glad to be here. It's such a good initiative that you're taking, informing more people about impromptu speaking, public speaking in general, and increasing their confidence. I think it's a great initiative, and I'm definitely glad to be here, especially at the first episode.
Yeah, thank you for finding time to come here. So, since I mentioned that you have recently won speaking, so I would like my audience to know, in your words, what do you think impromptu speaking is?
For me, impromptu speaking is all about confidence, right? So whenever you don't have time to think about what you're going to say, your true confidence, your experiences from which you can draw on knowledge and inform people about what you're going to speak, and your quick thinking. These three things truly come into the play, and impromptu speaking for me is a test of these three qualities: how confident you are in yourself, your experiences, and how quickly you can think on the spot.
All right, it makes sense to me. So let's say when you are given a topic and it is completely new to you, I'm sure you are now a champion in it. But for someone who's just trying to learn how to speak impromptu, can you give some tips? How do you approach a topic, a completely new topic, if it is given to you?
So if for me, let's say I'm standing and somebody just gives me a topic at a table topics contest or something, for me, I start with as I mentioned, start with the first thing that comes to your mind. Something will click.
Okay.
So something will click in your mind. As soon as something comes, you have to start building up on that idea, because you can't wait for anything. That's the point of impromptu speaking. If you just stand there doing nothing, it becomes awkward very quickly. So you have to start with something and build on it. Keep thinking on the way while you're speaking. So that's where your quick thinking comes up.
Right.
And as soon as you get an idea that can truly shine in the topic that you're thinking about, continue on it. Convert it from where you started off, smoothly transition into what you're going to speak, and at the end give a conclusion which matches and finishes up all your topic in a nice bow.
Like a summary.
Yes, a good summary, a good conclusion, and that way the other person will definitely be impressed with what you're saying.
I think it makes sense. So basically, start from whatever you have and
Yes,
then build on top of it.
Build on top of it.
Absolutely. Also, I have this one thing that many people I have seen doing, sometimes when they go on stage, they have the material with them, but something, either their body language or they are panicking, something goes wrong. So, what do you think, since you have become a very experienced Toastmaster in terms of impromptu speaking, you have evaluated many Toastmasters in your club as well. What do you think usually people do wrong, where you can, some quick tips they can do better? It could be body language or a general mindset before approaching a topic. Other than the content, what other things they can build on?
I think for me, if you have stage fear, or whenever you get on stage and you feel a little awkward, the best way for that is just experience. You have to get on the stage as many times as possible and try to give as many speeches as possible, because over time you will develop a thinking where you just ignore whatever they're saying.
Right.
You'll ignore all the sides on you, and I think every person has their own way of countering that. For me, I just ignore everyone there. For me, this tip works. I ignore everyone there. I look at something at the end of the room, the walls or the door. I look something along that lines, and once I feel more comfortable on the stage, then I start looking more downwards towards the people, making eye contact. But that initial rush that you get when you get on the stage, I think that's common with everyone. But you have to find some way or the other of getting over that, and that only comes with experience.
Okay, all right. So I think the takeaway from this answer is basically go out, experience yourself.
Yes.
Initially, you may feel your hands are sweating, you're panicking, but only with multiple takes you can get better at it.
I mean, I'll mention more that even I had stage fear when I started out, right? In my first club meeting, in my first table topics, I came on stage and I looked at the people and I blanked out and I spoke only for 13 seconds.
Like 13 seconds.
13 seconds,
Yeah.
that's it. And then I just stood there, did nothing. But everybody still came up and clapped. Okay. And because it was my first table topic, and I went back and sat and I thought ki, despite the fact that I bombed horribly, people still appreciated me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back on stage and try it again, and over time I have developed this technique of not getting affected by stage fear now.
Right.
So
So I think
if I
that
can, then
the
anybody
warmth
can.
that you got from people made
Yes, that
you
helped me a
approach
lot.
the next time.
Yes.
Because usually, like in a Toastmasters club, you are appreciated for even a small task that you do. So that gives you that impression that okay, maybe I can try next time and I can be better at it. I think it can be expanded to your other realms of work also. So appreciate whatever the person is doing and it really boosts you to try something more.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Next question I have specifically for the Toastmaster audience who is watching this podcast. We all know, and you also know, that we have contests every season.
Yes.
And we have table topics contests. Many times I have seen some experienced speakers also going on stage and not able to convey the story or do justice to the topic that they are given. Since you have been able to, one at the club level, area level, and I want to understand from you, how do you decipher a topic and actually get the right storyline, the right content, which should be the winning material for that topic? What is your take on it?
So whenever such a situation arises, like you are participating in a table topics contest, or where you know you will have to perform some impromptu speaking,
Right.
what you do is you prepare beforehand. You remove the impromptu part of it as much as possible. So let me tell you a secret about this. Whenever good table topic speakers go on the stage, they're not doing impromptu speaking. They remove the impromptu part of it as much as possible, and they come up with things that they have already prepared on the stage. So the point that you have to learn here is that don't do impromptu speaking, do prepared speaking, and that's how you will perform better. So what you have to do is think about your life and come up with 5 to 6 good stories,
Okay.
which you can fit in different topics, but they all should be a little independent of each other. They should not, so that you can cover as wide of a base
Right.
with respect to topics as possible. So you can have one story where you started at the lowest position possible and you worked hard and rose through the ashes and won, to show the importance of perseverance, determination. Any of those topics you can fit the story in. So it could be a quote, it could be something like perseverance is important, why, or any of those topics. So there's a whole segment of it for which you have one story, right? So you can start with a good introduction, maybe remember a couple of quotes,
Right.
put the story in, finish up with a nice conclusion about the topic, mentioning it and aligning it with your story, and that's how you have a winning topic there. So prepare as many of the stories as possible. Along with that, what you can do at impromptu speaking, especially when you're feeling a little bit stuck,
Yes.
is to use your sense of humor.
All right.
If you can incorporate even 1 or 2 jokes, the audience minds goes on from focusing exactly on what a topic is to enjoying themselves
On the lighter part of
on the lighter part, and that is what you eventually want the audience to have, an enjoyment, remembering your speech back as a fond memory that I enjoyed that. And when you can touch their emotions, whether it be through humor, whether it be through sadness, happiness, if you can get a visceral reaction from the audience, that's when you know you have a winning material.
I think it made a lot of sense. So what I can take away from this answer is, well, while you're practicing for a contest, be ready with some material, because those are your life experiences, and if you have them at the back of your head, you can quickly pull any of the story which is related to the topic,
Yes.
fix it with a nice introduction, a catchy conclusion, add sprinkles of humor here and there if you can think at the runtime, and deliver the topic. I think that is the recipe of a winning topic, if I'm not wrong.
Definitely.
That's good. That's good to know. So, viewers, just as you heard right now, Try to implement it in your next topic, and I'm sure you will do wonders. Now it's time for us to grill our speaker and see how he performs impromptu. Let's give him a topic and let's see his take on it. So, the topic for you, Pratham, is the greatest joy in life is human connection. The greatest joy in life is human connection.
Well, I have fortunately stayed in around 13 to 14 places across the nation because my father somehow had a transferable job. And so I always used to wonder, whenever we come to a place, I get to a school, I impress my teachers, I make new friends. My father used to immediately shift out. And we had to go to the next place, repeat everything all over again. And I got so frustrated at one point of time that I told him, why do we shift so often? It's always creating a problem in my life just because of your job. Well, my father then told me a story of a judo kid. So there was this young kid who had sadly lost his left hand in an accident, and but he used to also attend some judo classes for some reason, and his judo sensei taught him one move to defeat every opponent in every contest, and he somehow went on winning all the contests with that one move. When the kid asked his sensei, "How come I am winning?" the sensei replied, "Well, you have this is one of the most difficult move in judo, and you have practiced it and you are perfect at it now. And secondly, the only counter to this move is for your opponent to hold your left hand, which you don't have." So he had converted his weakness to a strength, and that is when I realized that the situation I am in, I have to do the same. When I look back at my life now, living over so many places, I don't remember eventually the houses that we lived in, or what places we went to on a daily basis, the shops we visited. No, I remember the friends that I made. And because of shifting at so many different places, I have a multitude of friends from 13 to 14 places all across the nation. I get an access to a diverse pool of people to talk to, share my views, and all of them have different viewpoints. So the North Indian people recommend me something else, the South Indian people sometimes recommend me something else. All these different viewpoints help me make a correct decision in my challenges in life. And all those human connections have truly brought me here and made me who I am. And I would not give it up for anything else. So really the true treasure of a human life is truly human connection.
Wow, wonderful take on this topic. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and that too impromptu. Excellent job done there in delivering this topic, and I'm sure whoever is listening to this podcast would learn from it and would try to attempt such topics or any impromptu speaking in your spheres of life or in your professions that you're doing. So I am happy to have you as a guest today here, and I learned a lot from you. I hope the audience would have also learned from you. So with that, I'd like to conclude this first session. Please drop your questions or any feedback that you have about this podcast in the comments, and I'll be happy to reply. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for having me here, Vidita.
Thank you.